Why is it ticking then? So if I can't see, how can I get across the road? I need to still find that pedestrian button, don't I? So this tells me where it is. I can use sound to get across to this button. You know what else is neat about this? There's that dynamic element. Watch what happens when I push. So when I push the button, I get a light and I get a beep. Now let me ask you the question. What happens when you push the button? It beeps and you get a light, right? So now you don't have to say nothing anymore, right? So it gives feedback to the pedestrian, which we think is obviously very important. You know what else this thing does? It talks to you, right?
Welcome to Madison. You're at University Avenue, ready to cross Park Street.
All right, so we can put messaging in there as well. All right, so it has a lot of different features along the side of the roadway. Now, well, why does it get louder when I talk near it and it gets quieter when I get away from it? What do you think? How'd you like to live on the corner of the intersection where that thing's ticking all night? Right in the middle of summer when you want to have your windows open. So what it does is it responds to ambient noise. When there's a lot of cars, a lot of activity, it gets louder. At night it gets very, very quiet. So it responds to that noise side. Now there's some other neat features, right? So if you look on the side here, well, let me kill the tick part here. All right? On the side here, if you cannot see that there's a Braille message, and the Braille message tells you how many lanes of traffic. So the two dots up here represent the lane of traffic. So this would tell you that there's a curb, 2 lanes of traffic, bike lane, a center median, 2 more lanes of traffic, perhaps another bike lane, and then the end of the curve. All right? So it provides information for the people who can't see and are crossing about what to expect when you go across the roadway. Now, what happens if you cannot see and you cannot hear? And there's many, many people who have that problem who are very mobile and able to walk. So the ticking doesn't become important or doesn't become significant for you. So you have to find the button. But the point I want to make is that this also has vibrotactile features as well. So there's an arrow that's up here with a crossing, and you can feel it when it goes to walk, and it vibrates. So you can feel. So there's a number of different features. And you also know that when it does go to walk, it'll go to a sound, different sound. So the walk will provide a little bit different hit. So it provides another interesting piece of transportation that's relatively new that's changing environment. So you'll be seeing, there's a number of different models, so they don't look exactly the same as this one, but you'll be seeing something like this, I'm sure, near your schools very, very soon. All right, so for helping people that are pedestrian-oriented like this, it's very, very good. What we have to do is be very, very careful about making sure people can get access to these pedestrian signals, all right? People need to get access, and even when it's snow, I mean, does it snow around here? No? Even when there's snow, we got to make sure that people are able to get to these push buttons, right? That's very, very critical. Excuse me, sir. I got a show going on. Excuse me.
Wait
a second. Please welcome President Dwight David Eisenhower. President Eisenhower. Well, thank you, David. Well, President Eisenhower, what are you doing at Madison?
Well, it's funny that you asked that, David. I hear that this EXPO thing is a wonderful opportunity for high school students and middle school students to learn about the engineering profession. Figure out exactly what a career in engineering is all about. Oh, and I hear that State Street can be pretty fun, too.
Can I call you President? Do you prefer General?
Please call me President.
Hey, may I ask you a couple of questions?
Why, go right ahead.
All right. President Eisenhower. Now, I know you are probably the most famous president of all when it comes to transportation. Why was transportation so important to you?
Well, that's a great question, David. You know, as I was leading our troops through Germany during World War II, I couldn't help but be impressed by the speed and efficiency which we could move our troops and our military vehicles along this vast network of superhighways called the Autobahn. You've heard of the Autobahn, right? Right?
Yep.
Well, these Autobahn highways were designed for super fast speed and efficiency, getting people from point A to point B very quickly. You know, the thing that impressed me the most, though, was that we had 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. There was a wide grassy median in between, and the places where you could get on and get off the highway were spaced miles apart, so you didn't have these traffic signals and stop signs everywhere like you had in the U.S. highways. The thing that was the most impressive was that they crisscrossed the entire nation from border to border. It was great. Now, I knew based on my own personal experiences that we had nothing of the type in the United States. I traveled across the country from the Atlantic to the Pacific on our best highways in 1919. And what I found was we had these narrow 2-lane roadways. These were our best highways. They were nothing like the German Autobahn. Why, if we were attacked, say we were attacked in California and all of our troops were in Virginia, it would take weeks to get them across the country. That just wasn't going to cut it. We needed something better, David. We needed something like the German Autobahn.
Oh, excellent answer, Mr. President. Now, when you became the 34th President of the United States, I know we had already thought about the concept of an intercontinental highway, yet it really didn't go anywhere. You were instrumental with the Federal Aid Transportation Act and the Federal Aid Highway Act in 1954 and 1956 in making sure we had lots of money in order to build this intercontinental roadway. In fact, you approved $25 billion at that time, which was way beyond the financial means that we had. How'd you do that? How'd you get that done?
Well, you see, I had this vision of a network of crisscross 4- and 6-lane highways, much like the Germans had. And the reason we needed these highways was, like I said, was for moving our military vehicles quickly in time of need. Because like I said before, we had nothing of the type during World War II. So what did I sell the point to the federal highway, or to the federal Congress? I sold them on the point of a national defense highway system. You see, previously, there'd been decades before attempts to build an interstate highway system, but they'd all failed because there was no buy-in from the Congress. See, the Congress wanted the states to pay their own construction costs. They made the states raise all their money in order to build these superhighways. I sold them on an idea of national defense. That way, our entire country, regardless of what state, is protected in times of need because we have this national defense system of superhighways. Now, once I sold them on this idea, in 1956, I signed the Federal Aid Highway Act into law, and that created our interstate highway system in the United States as we currently know it.
All right, Mr. President, I see you still like to talk. That's very, very good.
Well,
Is there any other messages that you'd like to leave for our audience before you take off?
Kids, you go out there and be the best transportation professionals you can be, because old guys like me aren't going to last forever. Take care.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, President Eisenhower, the most famous president we had in terms of transportation, significantly changed things. Now, the next thing I want to do is start moving into the last part of our show, and that's to talk to you about some of the signage, communication, then we'll look at some of the safety issues. Now, unfortunately, some of the things that we do at the university level, especially those who are involved with university signs, are not always perfectly clear. I mean, here's an example. So I saw this outside the University of Michigan, and that one didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. How about University of Minnesota, right? And the folks in Illinois had a brainstorm at one time, right? And they thought that this was, they thought this was a good way of communicating with the drivers.